Hello, everyone, and welcome to Seed 540. I'm so very glad that you're able to join us, and I'm very excited to have you here in our course. So let's get things started. By way of introductions, my name is Dr. Sarah Baird Amodio. I hold degrees in education and social work. I've been an educator for over 20 years. I'm a former middle school language arts teacher, a school counselor, and a principal in K-8 schools. Currently, I am in private practice as an educational psychologist, and I have my own educational consulting firm here in Boulder County, Colorado, where I live with my husband, two daughters, a very neurotic but very cute little dachshund that you'll see pictured here on the screen, two cats, and two birds. And just a little bit about myself. My favorite movies are Star Wars movies and Marvel movies. I look forward to all the new Marvel stuff that's coming out here this fall. My favorite book, well, I have so many because I was a language arts teacher, but I will always reread the A Wrinkle in Time series by Madeleine L'Engle. And by way of fun facts, I can speak French, Swedish, and just a little bit of Italian. Okay, so going into the themes for this course here, we have three overarching themes: human development and learning theories and how we can apply those to classroom practices. We're going to be looking at motivation and learning strategies, which are very, very important for secondary students, and equity. And what you'll notice here in this course, which I think is really well done in the way it was designed, is equity is interspersed throughout the entire course. So we'll be talking about equity at all points throughout this course. Expectations. Okay, so I do have some expectations of students. Please be consistent in your participation online. We'll get into that here in a little bit about how you can make sure that you're consistent in your participation and what strategies you can use to make sure that you're staying on top of things. Staying on top of the readings in line with that, making sure that you're participating online but also staying on top of the readings. Please be sure that you cite the readings in your postings in the discussion board. Make sure that you're following the APA format when you are citing. Stay in communication with me and peers as necessary. Make sure that you have a willingness to listen to different viewpoints and an openness to new ideas. We're going to be sharing a lot of things in the discussion board, our personal viewpoints, our personal opinions, and we want to make sure that everyone feels welcome and feels free and comfortable to share on the discussion board. And along with that, please no offensive language on the discussion board. For example, no cursing. And what you can expect from me. In addition to those things on the left, I will make sure that I am communicating throughout the week in a timely manner, and I'll be sure to respond within 24 hours. I will foster a learning environment where students feel comfortable in sharing and exchanging their ideas. I will keep abreast of current research and issues and trends in education to make sure that you have the most relevant and timely information. And I will be respectful of your time. Online courses, as you'll come to find out, they're a blessing in many respects because you can do them whenever you want to. But you have to, like I said, over there in the expectations, you have to make sure that you're staying on top of things. And it can be a course that takes time throughout your week. So I will be respectful of your time because I know that you'll need to be able to schedule this course within your already busy schedule. So in this course, when things do go sideways, and by that I mean if you encounter any difficulties with the course, or if you have unexpected life events pop up, please let me know as soon as possible. I'm here to help advocate for you and to help to create a positive learning environment for you, but I can't do that unless I know. So please let me know if things start becoming a little bit difficult for you in this course, or if something pops up in your life that interferes with what's going on in this course. I'm here to help. Okay, so let's get into the course. Here is an overview of the course and what you can expect. There will be a lecture video that's posted online every Monday. As part of that, there'll be an introduction to the readings that you'll be encountering that week. We have 2 textbooks, as you saw in the syllabus. We have what I call the big book, which is using educational psychology in teaching. And we have the little book, which is the case studies book. Most times there'll be readings from both books. Sometimes there'll be readings from just one, but make sure that you are following the readings for that week. There'll be, like I said, the readings for the week, and you make sure that you start those readings on Monday, because that'll lead to the discussion boards on Wednesday. The discussion board questions will be posted on Wednesday. There are 2 types of responses that I'm looking for in this course. I'm looking for your first responses to the questions that I post, and then I'm looking for your responses to either your classmates or myself. The first responses will be due by Saturday, and the responses will be due by Sunday. There's also a little weekly quiz that'll be posted on Sunday. Now, please don't panic. This is only a 3-question multiple choice quiz, and it's meant to be a formative evaluation. And by that, I mean just a way to keep tabs on how you're doing in the course for yourself and for me, just to make sure that you understand the material, that it helps you to stay on top of what the content is, and really just to help provide a sense of, for you, how you're doing. There'll also be assignments in this course. And speaking of which, assignments. Please, please, please look at the syllabus for a description of the assignments and due dates. If there is a change, I will be announcing it on Blackboard and giving you plenty of time and lots of heads up for that. So I will be grading 5 particular things for this course. I'll be grading the online participation and quiz, which will be part of your online participation rubric that you see in the back of your syllabus. This will be, I'll be looking at that each week, but it'll be graded at the end of the course with that one rubric that you see in your syllabus. There'll be a motivation paper, and we'll be talking about the content for this paper in weeks 2 through 6 and in 8. There'll be a theory to practice presentation, which is a group project with an individual element, all throughout this course. So you'll be seeing that there'll be parts that you can potentially use for your theory to practice presentation presented each week. There's an equity reflection paper, and we'll be looking at the content for that in weeks 9 and in weeks 11 through 13. And there is a case study and student application project. So this course is centered around case studies, which is great. It provides you with some real-world case studies that you can use and apply in your own practice. We'll be looking at case studies most weeks of this course. And speaking of which, case studies. Like I said, most weeks we'll be looking at the case studies from the little book. At least one discussion board thread will be about the case studies when we do look at case studies that week. You'll be asked to analyze and apply a case study to a particular student for your application, case study, and student application project. The case studies that we do throughout the year will help provide you with the framework that we're looking for here in that paper. Okay, so as I mentioned briefly, this is an online autonomous course, and it follows the autonomous learning model. And this means that while there's no set time where we meet as a class each week, certain learning tasks need to be completed each week, and there's a due date for each of those things. There will be an optional Zoom meeting for time for this course, and it was listed in the syllabus, and it'll take place on Wednesday evenings at 7 p.m. It's optional, and we may not be doing it every week. I will let you know in the discussion board when we do have these optional Zoom meetings. Okay, so it seems like a lot, but let's break this down, and I'm going to give you a suggested schedule that you could maybe follow to help with your studies here. On Monday, as I mentioned, there'll be a video posted in the weekly folder under the course material. So as you see here, we have the course material in the menu in Blackboard. So if you click on that, that'll lead you to the weekly folders. So go into the weekly folder that corresponds to that particular week, click on it, and you'll see that there's a video and a task list and any kind of reading material and any updates that you might need. The task list in the weekly folder will be there as well. And there we'll break that down a little bit as to all the different parts that you'll need to do for that week. And then on Monday, please begin your readings. Tuesday, you can continue your readings. That's your study day. And Wednesday is where I'll be posting the questions in the discussion board. And again, that'll be in the menu over there to the left. Begin to draft out your responses there on Wednesday. And by that, I mean type them up first in Word. You want to make sure you don't have any spelling errors, really glaring grammatical errors. Make sure you're checking for tone. And then cut and paste into the discussion board. Begin those first posts on the discussion board on Wednesday. Thursday and Friday, those are your work days. Do discussion board postings as needed, work on assignments as needed. Saturday, again, those first posts on the discussion board are due just a touch before midnight there. And then on Sunday, that's when I'll post the quiz in the morning. I'm an early morning person, so I'll try to post it as early as possible. And then that's your time to post your responses on the discussion board. This week's tasks. Okay, so each week, like I mentioned before, I'll be posting the task list in that weekly folder under the course materials. And it'll look exactly like this. What you need to read, the discussion board, the quiz, and then updates on any assignments that you may have for that week. So, for example, this week, on week 1, please make sure you read the syllabus. Make sure you read chapter 1 in the big book and read chapters 1 and 2 in the little case study book. And if you haven't already done so, please look through the APA guidelines. I'm sure by this point in your studies you've encountered APA guidelines, but just make sure that you take a moment to refresh. And then again this week I'll just be doing a quick discussion board. It's not going to be heavy or anything like that, but I do anticipate that it'll take a little bit of time and make sure that it'll require you to go back into the readings. And then there'll be that little quiz on Sunday. No assignments this week. Okay, so just a quick comment on the tasks. Starting off on the right foot, make sure that you do read that syllabus thoroughly and save a copy of it somewhere that you can easily reference. When you do post in the discussion board, make sure that your answer is substantive and referenced. And by that, I mean that you refer back to the readings. Saying things like just I agree or I disagree isn't enough. You have to say why or why not. I recommend, like I said, that you type up your responses in Word first, then cut and paste into the discussion board. How you present on the discussion board is a reflection of you, so please keep that in mind. And again, just take a look at that APA resource guide that's listed there in Blackboard. Please keep in mind that all citations and reference lists need to follow that APA formatting. Okay. So in our videos each week, we're going to be talking about the main ideas that you're going to be encountering in the readings. And what I'll try to do in these videos is hone in on the main ideas or the key things that I want you to come away with. These readings can be a little lengthy and a little meaty. So my job here in these videos is to make sure that you are really focusing in on the key things that I want you to take away. And for this week, I want you to really focus on what is an equitable educator, what is equity literacy, and you'll find both of those concepts in the little book. And in the big book, there's a lot. There's a lot this week. Please do read it. But I want you to hone in on the 20 principles from psychology for pre-K through 12 teaching and learning. What are they and why do I need to know about them? It's a great conversation in the book. It's a really great presentation of those 20 principles. Please focus on those. Okay, so the main ideas for equitable educators and equity literacy. And the questions I want you to think about as you're reading. What does it mean to be an equitable educator? What is your personal definition of an equitable educator? When you read through the case study book, focus on that equity literacy framework. That's what we're going to be using in our case studies. We're going to be following that framework as we go along. And it's great because if you think about it, when we talk about equity, sometimes it's hard because there's so many different variables, so many different factors, and it helps to move us into that messiness, but give us a framework to do so. It talks about micro, meso, exo, and macro levels of awareness. Please take a moment to think about those different levels. There is a great chart or a great graph on page 38 in the big book that goes through those levels. So take a moment to think about that. What does it mean to have a micro level of awareness? What does it mean to have then an exo level of awareness? Think about that for yourself and in your own situation. And like I said, there's this framework that we're going to be following when we look at case studies. And it'll help to guide you in our particular case studies right now, but also applying it in the future in your own teaching. Okay, so here are those 7 steps as part of that framework. And they call it the 7 steps in the equity literacy case analysis approach, but we're going to just be calling it the framework to kind of, have a shorthand for it. Identify biases or inequities, take stock of various perspectives, consider possible challenges and opportunities, imagine equitable and just outcomes, brainstorm immediate term solutions, and then brainstorm long-term solutions, and then craft a plan of action. So what I like about this particular framework, just a couple of comments on this, is it not only focuses on the challenges and what's wrong, but also the opportunities for growth. What I also like about it is that it helps you to imagine the outcomes. What could happen ideally at the end of all this, in the short term, in the immediate term, but also in the long term. It challenges us to think about the immediacy of the problem, but also maybe the larger systemic issues that are at play. And then to come up with a plan of action. It's not enough to analyze it and just sit on it. We need to come up with a plan of attack. Okay, so as I mentioned, the big book, chapter 1, has a lot of stuff in it. But here are the top 20 principles from psychology for pre-K to 12 teaching and learning that are in that first chapter. What I like about these, and I'm just going to shorthand call them the top 20 principles, is that they follow the major theoretical themes in educational psychology. Cognition, which is how you think, how you develop your thinking. Motivation, it's kind of self-explanatory. Social context, interpersonal relations, and emotional well-being. So your interpersonal and how you, your emotions associated with those particular ties. Classroom management, which is huge in educational psychology, and assessment, which is also huge in educational psychology. So it follows those 5 main themes. What you're going to see is, in the big book, is that the presentations on the various theories follow these top 20 principles. It's really well organized if you think about it. It helps to provide a framework for everything that we do in this course. So please read through it carefully. Please make sure that you understand it. The other thing that I like about it is that it helps you to answer that question, why do we need to, why are you doing what you're doing? A lot of times in education, you'll get that question from parents, administration, people within the field, why are you doing this particular thing in your classroom? And you'll be able to go back into those 20 principles and say, I am doing X because of this particular theory or this particular knowledge base. If you're able to reference theory and research to explain and justify your instructional strategies, it raises your level of professionalism. And again, you'll be hearing these principles over and over again in your teaching profession. So it's best to take a look at them now and start looking at how you can incorporate them into your own teaching practice. So I will be putting a chart into the weekly folder to help organize your thinking around this. It's a blank chart with just says Principle 1, Principle 2, and the idea is that you'll fill it in. One of my strong beliefs in education is that if you're able to do multimodal learning, if you're able to engage the auditory with the visual, with the kinesthetic, you're more likely to learn. I think there's some sort of statistic out there that you learn 60% through visual, and then you tack on more through hearing, and then when you're able to engage more of your senses, it's a more complete learning experience. So this is able to provide you with an opportunity to engage that multimodal form of learning to help you learn these top 20 principles. And I should say, it is optional. It's not graded. It's just for your own benefit. All right, that concludes the video for this week. Please feel free to text me or email me if you have any questions. Here is my phone number, and please feel free to text me if you have any questions or concerns. I will get back to you as soon as possible. And here is my GMU email address. Please use that one when we're communicating about the course. All right, happy studying, and we will see you in the discussion boards.